I'm Esther. Today we are going to study something that is crucial and something that is very important to our life because it is important that we deal with matters that are crucial in our day-to-day living. And we have a very few questions that we need to ask ourselves even before we introduce the topic. And the question goes, have you wondered what matters most in life? Have you taken time to think deeply about it and about what matters most in life? And have you noted that everything is temporal and should be taken their temporary state? And if that is the case, what is that? What does it matter to our day-to-day living? Most of the time is when we think that once we wake up in the morning, we start our daily hustle life. We think what matter is money, how to get money to cater for our daily bread, how to get money for school fees, how to get money for basically daily survival. But it is good to realize that life comes and even goes, and we do not take much time here on earth, and therefore it is important that we realize there is things that we need to do for us to continue maintaining our life here on earth, live it fully. And to the best of my knowledge, what matters most is God, because life is His. He's the one who sustains us, and He's the one who eventually will give us eternal life. So, minding about money is okay, it is fine, but as we go and as we move about our daily business, it is important to realize that the daily business should help us come closer to God, should not separate us from God, and should not separate us from the love of God. That is what is key, and that is what is most important. And when I think that God matters most, is because at times we think that temporal things are going to help us. They are not going to help us. We are going to realize, even though most people are yet to come in terms with this, it is important that we put it in great consideration. For introduction, we need to read Romans 1, chapter 20. And it says, ever since God created the world, His invisible qualities, both internal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen. They are perceived in the thing that God has made. It means that even though we do not physically see God, or whatever we see in our day-to-day living, they tell us that there is someone behind. Things do not happen on their own. We might think things happen on their own, but they do not happen on their own, and it's important to realize that. And we are not taught about God, because even when we are born already knowing that there is God. And that's why when you see even a young children, once you introduce God, you already know Him. So it's something that is born with us. And our main point today is to think how God matters to our life. And first of all, I need to come up with 6 points, which we are going to just tackle briefly. One, and the subtopic is soaring higher to God. How can we be able to go higher and get where God is and start living with Him as we move on our day-to-day businesses? And one of the points is mastering the art of God living, mastering our habits. That means we need to have good habits. Mastering the art of thinking, that's about mindset. mastering our action, mastering that of good communication, and mastering our heart. All these points will help us to soar higher to God, so that it's a great determination to higher to God. It's not something that we are going to achieve it that easily. You might think it is something that it's just like looking for money. It's not easy to get money, but people keep striving. So we still have to strive to look for God. It is not something that comes that easily. And therefore, when we think of coming higher to God, it means there is something that we need to do away with in our day-to-day living. One, we have to master how to live. We must realize that our life is a journey. It's a journey that we need to make it very purposeful, so that we may live to the fullest. We master the way we do things. We master the way every single step that we do in our day-to-day life should be geared to live a godly living. We are called to live a pure life, a holy life, a life full of light, a life full of truth, a life full of positive attitude. And when we live a godly living, we are able to mount higher to the mountain for God. Number two, we have to realize that we need to have a good character, a good character that is observing high moral integrity, keeping good relationship, keeping good reputation. We need to realize that we have to maintain high standard of morals and ethics. It means we must be very calculative in whatever we are doing. The obstacles, how to face the obstacles, how to face our friends, how to face our relatives, how to deal with our day-to-day battles, how to endure, how to persevere. Because God said that He come to see our life as we are living in our day-to-day living. And so it means we have to be very precise on how we are living. If you read Jeremiah 17:10, it talks that the God searches our heart in accordance to the way we do live our daily life. So it is important that we understand that we have to live a godly life. Mastering our heart, we need to understand that whatever goes inside our heart, we should be very careful about it, and whatever gets out of it should also resemble who we are, because out of the abundance of the heart our mouth speaketh. So the abundance that is within us is what that we are going to communicate. And if we keep our heart at a peaceful way, even though there is challenges and obstacles here and there, we are able to nurture the purity that is required of us, because whatever we get out of our heart is what that is good, what is godly, and what is spiritual. So you have to spend so much time on meditation, contemplation, spiritual reading, and the most important, try to keep peace with God and also with our neighbor, so that we may allow that lamp of the heart keep burning. We also need to master good habits. Habits are also very paramount, because sometimes we think that we are living, the habits are not any necessary, but it is very necessary. How do we deal with habitual practices, things that we do? We must master them, so that whatever habit that is displeasing to God, we may do away with it. It's something that we need to be very cautious about it, because sometimes doing away with bad habits is not easy. So we need to pull up our socks and do away with what is evil and what is unnecessary. We also need to capture our action, especially in time of trigger to anger, that we may not do what is unworthy. We should always be sober in our reaction and even in our action. We also need to observe the thoughts, which is key about mindset. We should be very positive all the time. understanding that positivity is key to a good enlightened life. Being positive in whatever you're doing. See a success, do not see a failure. Always look higher, aim higher, understand that you're not alone. Have faith, because whatever you generate in your thoughts translate to who you are and how you are living your life. The only difference that is there between people who trust God and people who are wondering is just what goes in their thought. They see a problem, they see a situation, they know how to gather with their thoughts, and they come up with a solution that is viable. So we also need to master communication. We should understand that we should communicate things that are godly. If you read Ephesians 5:3-5, talk about the godly way of communicating. Avoid things that are immoral, things that are not worthy, things that are full of insults, hatred, and envy. You should do away with them and start thinking, then start communicating in a way that is godly and the way that is friendly. We should also understand that we should also strive to perfection, because it's also a way to soar higher to God, because climbing to the mountain of God requires that we be perfect in every way. So we have to try to get ways that will enable us and strive to be perfect, though we might not be very perfect, but we strive to be perfect. The only bad thing is not try, but if you try, you are able to do something that is helpful. One is you must be a prayer person. Prayer become very key, because that's the only way we communicate with God. When you allow prayer life to go down, that means you will not be able to move with your life in a peaceful way. So prayers become key. You should carry your cross. Always have a cross at your back. Do not bang your cross. Do not give up, even when process seems to be very difficult and very hard. Persevere in your suffering. Endure even when things seem so hard and you are not able to pursue them, but keep praying so that you might persevere. Allow suffering, because suffering helps us to grow much stronger, even in much difficult moments. We should also avoid sin, because you cannot strive for perfection when already in a sinful state. So you should also avoid sin. You should also accept the will of God, because the will of God comes with cross, comes with suffering, and it is good that we understand that we are not our own. We are created with a purpose. We are created with an intention. So allowing the will of God take control of our situation and even our life will also help us to do away with our self-will, self-pride, and ego. And therefore we'll be able to come closer to God. So it calls us to be very worshipful in our step of life, maintaining high self-discipline, so that you be enabled by grace of God to move closer to Him. So I think working in ourselves such that you're able to come close to God is what is key, and that is what is important in the very, very day and in every day of our lives. Thank you, and God bless you. Have a good day.